So what I talked about was just sort of an audiovisual system I've been using for several years in order to kind of correlate sound, graphics, and using mathematics as a kind of underlying principle for the whole way to connect the two together. And so it dealt with a very specific type of system I'm using called harmonic space curves, which give you a lot of control over the correlations between sound and the visual result. And it's a system that you can kind of tune for whatever sort of application you want. I showed two different works I had been doing. One was an audio-visual, more of a musical work, and the other was a virtual reality work where I'm using the same mathematics to generate like this interaction with entities in a virtual world. Well, I would say it's first and foremost it's experimentation, but it's also it's a way to ask a question about kind of the world we live in. You know, where do all these shapes come from that we experience every day? I mean, is there some way we can kind of crack that or find something out? So, like, my main goal is knowledge, to just learn more about the world we live in, and I think the creators of the world, the musicians, the artists, the people who actually create things, I think they have a lot to say about the world and how it's constructed. So it's really it's a question about where do we come from, really. Again, it's experimental. Some of it. There have been experiments done in psychology that map the timbre of a sound into a shape. I mean, maybe not as precisely as I was talking about today, but there are precise mathematical relationships between the two, and so I think some of it is actually, I don't know if it's natural to human beings to make those connections, but maybe part of it is it's a deep fundamental attribute of the universe we live in. I mean, I don't know. But there is another element that's fictional, of course. We can't always rely on these precise mathematical rules to do everything. So you have to be inspired by something. If it's like an insect or something, you want to try to create something, a resemblance to that. It's an inspiration you can use to guide the work, right? And if that correlates to something natural, so be it. If it doesn't, you win either way, right? It's hard to define complex, though, because I think a lot of it is complex, but we get familiar with things. Our brain sort of loses interest in things that we get familiar with, so we don't see the complexity, right? I mean, our world around us is complex, but it's so obvious to us because we're familiar with it. So I think maybe because there haven't been enough investigation into particular systems. It's been a lot about defining the algorithm up to this point. Like, we have specific equations for generating fractals, like the Mandelbrot set, Julia sets. We have specific equations for generating the work I was showing, these harmonic curves. But what we don't have is this investigation going on, to really getting into it and getting our hands dirty. And that's why at the end I left the question, is this a virtual material? Are we dealing with the virtual here? Bringing it into our world now, we have access to it like we've never had before. And I think it's just a matter of people working with the material more. You see that in all any kind of medium or material that artists use. You'll have someone that will do something that's just you would have never imagined that could be done with that material. So I think we're in this exploration phase right now. We've defined our material, now we need to use it. Oh, I love it here. It's complex. Very beautiful. The mountains, fresh air, fantastic. Really enjoying my stay here.